January is Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, and this year the theme is focusing on a holistic approach to preventing human trafficking, recognizing its intersection with other forms of violence and social issues. Human trafficking is not limited to any person, place, socioeconomic status, profession, or population. It happens anywhere and everywhere, and its victims span a wide range. It's a threat to community wellness, public safety, and human dignity. This month provides us the opportunity to raise awareness, engage in meaningful dialogue, and take collective action toward prevention, support, and healing. During this time, we reinforce Montgomery County's commitment to standing against this grave injustice and advocating for the dignity, rights, and safety of all individuals. Montgomery County is proud to partner with local organizations, law enforcement, schools, healthcare providers, and community members, many of whom are represented here today, to support survivors and to tackle trafficking in all of its forms. And up here behind me, you see a large number of folks who also serve with me on the county's Human Trafficking Prevention Committee that come from a wide cross-section of our community to help support this effort. And I want to take a moment to honor one individual in particular. And if he could come up, I'd like newly retired Detective Sergeant Dave Papalia to step forward. He did not know this was going to be happening. And it's been an honor to serve with Dave on the committee. Dave just retired on January 1st after nearly 30 years of service with the Montgomery County Police Department. He has worn many hats during his time with the police department, but he started in 2015 working with the Vice Unit, and that work brought him in intersection with human trafficking. And it's through that work within the Vice Unit that he got to know Jody Finkelstein, who's also here with us today, and began to work collaboratively on those interdisciplinary approaches to preventing and ending human trafficking within Montgomery County, including working with our victims' rights organizations, finding ways to focus on how to deal with our body works establishments and the inspections and unit and creative work that they do in order to help elevate this issue, educate others, and to make sure that things are running smoothly within the county, and continuing to collaborate on that as we still have much more work to do. I know that Dave has now retired, but he has left that unit in great hands with Sergeant, I'm going to say her last name wrong, Melissa Dezenkowski. Did I do that correctly? Yes. And they will continue on that work that was brought by Dave's leadership in that unit. So with that, I want to present you with the certificate to honor your work. And thank you. He's also my constituent. And with that, I want to say our work never ends. And we recognize, especially now, with a heightened emphasis on our immigrant population, on our communities of color, which are disproportionately represented in our victim population in human trafficking, the need to work harder than ever in this arena. So with that, I want to turn it over to the county executive to make some remarks.
Thank you. This is a really important issue, and it's an important issue not just in Montgomery County. It's an issue national and international. In fact, some of the roots of this are very much international. I remember when the council first took this up, and we heard some really heartbreaking stories, and one of the things that struck a lot of us is that victims of trafficking often did things in public on their own, but were so terrified of their condition and so threatened by the people who had trafficked them that they wouldn't reach out, even though they had the opportunity to escape sometimes. They were more afraid of the consequences if they weren't successful. And it's hard listening to people tell stories like that about the level of fear they have in the situation they're in. So I really want to thank everybody for the work they've done. And Jody, you've been at this a very long time. This is really critically important for the county. It happens every day. We don't know how much of it is in the county. It's important, particularly with some of the bodywork organizations, that those be regulated and inspected regularly, because they are frequently pop up as involved in this, and then we have to deal with them. But it's not obvious. They don't advertise it on the outside of their establishments, and so it takes work to find out who's doing trafficking there. So it's important the investment we make in this. It's important the attention and the resources that we put forward for this. And we've had great leadership in the county doing this, and I know everybody on the council continues to be motivated to make sure that we have the resources to address this as fully as we can. So thank you for doing this today.
You're welcome. All right, with that, I want to introduce the chair of the Human Trafficking Prevention Committee, Wendy Stickle.
Thank you. I'm a little bit shorter than the other speakers, so apologies. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, County Executive Elrich, and thank you to the County Council, of course, for this proclamation and for your continued commitment to combating human trafficking in Montgomery County. As was mentioned, the Montgomery County Human Trafficking Prevention Committee is here, and we've been working very hard to raise awareness on this important topic. Over the last year, you may have seen our Ride On Bus campaign. It was going around the county, both on the little shelters as well as on the buses, and it was implemented. We also implemented a widespread poster campaign, which you see our posters up here this morning. This is with the goal of raising awareness in our community. We also have continued to conduct trainings across the county with a wide variety of audiences, highlighting the strong collaboration among the committee members from Montgomery County Police Department, the Safe Center, and even a brave survivor. The reality is that young children and young people, including foreign nationals and U.S. citizens, are at enhanced risk to being trafficked for sex and labor, even here in Montgomery County, Maryland, as well as, of course, across the United States, due to their age. When layered with other vulnerabilities such as food insecurity, housing insecurity, drug addiction, gang involvement, and/or child welfare involvement, the risk of exploitation escalates. Over this coming year, we hope to reinforce our commitment to coming together with local leaders and stakeholders to eliminate the holes in the safety net this county tirelessly weaves to protect our young people. The same risk factors that make young people vulnerable to trafficking also make them vulnerable to a plethora of other negative outcomes, such as gang initiation and substance abuse. The Montgomery County Human Trafficking Prevention Committee extends an invitation to all stakeholders that serve our children, including public safety, MCPS, DJS, CPS, and the therapeutic community, as well as parents, to, if you aren't already at our table, come and join us. Come and brainstorm ways that we can serve this struggling population and provide them the protective factors that they need to stay safe. Our committee has served and will continue to serve as a vehicle for collaboration to raise awareness, offer services, and create a vehicle for collaboration to raise awareness and do all of these positive things that we can to protect our community, to protect our young people, the employees in this community, those living and visiting Montgomery County and the DC region from exploitation. Thank you all so much.
Now I'd like to welcome up Captain Ian Clark from the Montgomery County Police Department.
In recognition of Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, I'd like to speak to retired Sergeant Dave Papalia and some of the work he's done in his almost 30 years of working with the citizens of Montgomery County, 10 of those almost as the sergeant of our Vice and Intelligence Unit. He has impacted countless lives and victims of human trafficking over these 10 years. In July of 2024, state legislation went into effect that would make it a felony to practice massage therapy without proper licensing. That added to some of the tools of what the Vice unit does in enforcing human trafficking. It's a three-tiered approach: victim advocacy, civil work, and criminal work. Since that law went into effect, the Vice unit, under the leadership of retired Detective Sergeant Paya, approximately 36 spas, bodyworks establishment were inspected with almost 36 civil citations. And on top of that, 11 felonies. The lives that were impacted in the preventing of human trafficking it's just untold. Retired Detective Sergeant Dave Papaya should be proud of the legacy he's left and the work that will continue in the future.
Thank you. And with that, the county executive and I will now read the proclamation. Whoop. Whereas the U.S. Department of State estimates that approximately 27.6 million individuals worldwide are currently subjected to human trafficking, a cruel offense that exploits women, men, and children across the globe. And
whereas human trafficking is a complex and pervasive crime in which perpetrators use violence, threats, manipulation, deceit, coercion, and other tactics to trap victims in situations of forced labor and involuntary servitude, including, but not limited to, coerced participation in commercial sex acts. And whereas
human trafficking disproportionately impacts racial and ethnic minorities as traffickers deliberately target those who are already marginalized, such as women and girls, people of color, people with disabilities, LGBTQIA+ individuals, newly arrived immigrants, and other disenfranchised populations, stripping them of their freedom and dignity and subjecting them to physical, emotional, and psychological abuse. And
whereas raising awareness about the prevalence of human trafficking and promoting efforts to prevent and combat it are crucial steps toward eradicating this form of modern-day slavery and ensuring justice for its victims. And
whereas Montgomery County's Human Trafficking Prevention Committee, Victim Assistance and Sexual Assault Program, the University of Maryland Safe Center, CASA de Maryland, immigration attorneys, Montgomery County Police, and law enforcement partners and other community service providers work collaboratively to assist victims as well as to receive and provide training around trafficking laws. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Executive Marc Elrich and the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim January as Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, encouraging all residents, organizations, and governmental entities to dedicate their efforts to ending human trafficking, supporting survivors, and working toward a future where no one is subjected to such exploitation. Presented on this 21st day of January in the year of 2025.